marketers, Philippe for the Costume Merch. We wrote this article about costume merch, costume branded items that come from overseas, particularly China, number one exporter here to the United States. Now, so talk about the advantages and disadvantages. Now, to preface the whole article, we do prefer to order from as local as possible suppliers. In other words, if you're located in Georgia, so we try to get a supplier out of Georgia, in Florida, and so on. We are located in Florida, so we focus on Florida, but mainly we focus on USA made, USA shipped items. And of course, there are advantages and disadvantages to that, but we feel there are major advantages, and we're going to focus on that also. So now, as far as overseas, one of the big advantage, and not always actually, is lower cost. So lower cost of manufacturing overseas seems pretty obvious. It seems to be a constant, but there are situations where actually locally made is actually cheaper or same price as overseas. So it's not always the case. So lower cost for most items, I would say. The other part about the cost is, some say that it's easier to negotiate pricing before you pay, always before you pay, with an overseas supplier than it is for the local supplier. But we negotiate constantly with all of them. We haven't found that to be true at all. Okay. Something about a wide range of products. So it seems that some believe that overseas has a wider range of products. It's possible. We haven't experienced that, at least as far as our needs were concerned. We haven't found that there was any shortages of options coming from the United States as opposed to coming from overseas. So scalability, large orders, same. As a matter of fact, we find that it's easier to scale up here from a supplier here in the United States than it is from an overseas supplier. I don't knock down all the overseas suppliers. Some of them are very good. We do deal with them in certain situations. We try to vet them out as much as possible, and that is one thing about overseas. It's much harder to vet companies, so we tend to go back to the same ones because we get we get to know them, and we get a good sense of the quality and the reliability and so on. Some of the USA suppliers actually will, you have to ask us, of course, because we deal with them. Some of the USA suppliers look like they are shipping from their warehouse, which almost sounds like they are making it all there, or they are at least printing it there. But quite often we find that, well, not quite often, but with some of the suppliers we find that they actually don't ship. Well, they do ship from their warehouse in the United States. So we have one in North Carolina that does that. But the items actually come from China. So it's being shipped to them and then shipped to us, and when we deal directly with China, with the manufacturers that we are comfortable dealing with, it gets shipped directly to us. So we get maybe a day at most when we do it like that. So sometimes thinking that you're actually supporting a local economy, maybe a little, but you're mostly supporting shipping economy than anything else. So because again, it's being shipped from China, which means that most of the money being made is made out of overseas, and then the shipping industry, just moves it around. Coming from China, of course, it's going to be a longer lead time. Shipping alone is 4 to 5 days. That's just the way it is. And very often you will be quoted prices that say, no shipping, $0. But we all know that shipping is never free. Even if you go on Amazon and, they tell you free shipping, I hope you understand that it's never free shipping. It's just built in. Quality control coming from overseas, it can be harder to control the quality of the items, unless it's something more common, something that would come from overseas anyway. And so as far as quality control, on newer items, particularly on the unusual items, it's going to be more complicated. It's going to be harder, and you really have to know who you're dealing with. We actually had a customer who ordered from China, and this was a different issue. They ordered, they paid, I think it was like $800,000. They wanted to save some money, so they decided to bypass us, which was pretty sad actually. We like to deal with customers who are loyal customers, particularly since we can offer the same things. And in this case, and quite often actually, save you money and headaches. In this case, actually, it was a big headache because the manufacturer never delivered. So in the end, they came back to us in panic because they needed the items now even faster because they wasted all this time dealing with China. They lost $800 to $1,000 in the deal, and in the end, it cost them a lot more. So don't go it alone. It's really stupid, to put it bluntly. Hidden cost. When you order from overseas, there can be some hidden cost. Sometimes you think that you're going to be paying a certain amount, but you're not asking all the questions. Maybe there was a hidden shipping cost or a hidden setup cost, or you decided to print multiple colors and you realize that there was a cost for the second color, and so on. So people do things by themselves thinking they're going to save time, money, and so on, and in the end, it's like in any profession. You can be your own lawyer too, and then in the end find out that it's going to cost you way more to be your own lawyer, your own accountant, than if you hire a professional. So it's the same thing. We deal with this stuff constantly, and so we know who to call. We know what questions to ask. We've made the mistakes over the years, and we don't plan on making them again because it cost us money in the past when we first started. And so avoid the mistakes and get what you want. And on top of that, if you tell us, and we've said it many times, if you tell us, what your plans are, what you're trying to accomplish, even though maybe you had an idea of, printing baseball caps, maybe we'll tell you, what, I think, that would be this other item will have more of an impact and give you much better results. And we find that customers, every single one of them really appreciates the input, and sometimes we end up doing exactly what they wanted, but the back and forth really just narrows it down and gives us and gives our customers idea for the next event that's coming up. Of course, when it comes to overseas, there's ethical and sustainability concerns. So ethical, is it slave labor? As they call it. Our little 8-year-old doing the job over there, how you just don't know, and they're working in sweatshops and so on. So you order from China, you think you're talking to this nice guy over the phone who's sitting at a desk, nice and cozy, and what you don't know is that your stuff is being made by little kids or slave in a slave type environment. And as far as the sustainability, let me go back for a second. That's pretty horrible, by the way. Okay, if you don't care about that, I'll say it bluntly, we don't want you as a customer. It just says a lot about your ethics. Sustainability, that's big. We talk about global warming and pollution in the United States and clamping down and so on, but the winds don't care where they're going. And if you're ordering from a country that does not really care about sustainability or pollution and so on, we're all going to pay the price. It's a worldwide issue, even if one country, particularly a country the size of China, does all the wrong things. Like we said, the winds blow everywhere. The next one will be communication. When it comes to dealing with overseas companies, unless you really have a good contact, someone you feel you can trust, a company you can trust, you're comfortable with, say a company that you've dealt with, and I doubt most of you do, unless you are in this business, communication can be a disaster. One day you'll speak to one person, next day to the next, to the next person. You'll never have the same person again. When it comes to the artwork, printing, print size, point size, is it going to print well and so on, you have virtually no access, okay? The guy who's going to print your stuff, he's not going to get on the phone with you. Unless, of course, you're dealing with a good company, American style, and we know who they are. So you can go ahead and order from China, do it yourself. and we wish you good luck with that, and hopefully you will have good luck. We spoke about the environment. This is repeated over here on my article. Here's a big one. What happens if you have a problem? Who are you going to deal with? Are they going to even respond? Like when you call, is the person on the other side going to keep telling you, yeah, we're taking care of it for months, and then eventually you hope you're going to get tired of calling. So when you have an issue, you need to be able to contact someone, and that's us. Okay, you don't have to deal with, if we decide to order from overseas, whether it's Europe, Mexico, South America, wherever. You're not going to have. We're not going to tell you, okay, go ahead. You call overseas. You take care of your own problem. No, we do it. We take care of it. We've never missed an order. We've never been late. The print always came out the way you approved it, and you have to approve everything unless it's a rush order, in which case you're going to trust us. That's another thing too. If you need an order in a hurry, you likely will not get a proof. A proof is a preprint example of what your item will look like once your artwork has been printed on it. In a rush order situation, you may not get that. It just won't be enough time to get it, to send it out to you. They take 24, 48 hours, sometimes less, but yet you want to save time when you're in a rush order situation. So what are you going to do? Just go straight to the overseas company, or even a local company, and even a U.S. company, or another company you trust, that from a country you trust, maybe from Europe, and you're going to tell them, lost my train of thought here. You're going to tell them you have this item that you want to be printed, and you're going to hope that they're going to print it the way you want, right? Because you're getting no proof. See, we take care of that. We're going to get as close as possible, or even exactly, and so far it's always been exactly as you wanted, even though you never saw a proof for the item. All right, now let's go to the United States. Why USA made? We favor USA made for many reasons, okay? Yes, it can be pricier, and not always the case. Remember that. And price is not always the same as cost. Price is what you end up paying. Price is what you're being quoted. Cost is your final price, essentially. So in other words, if you order from somewhere and they tell you the price is $5, but then things go crazy, well, there's your cost now, and it's going to go higher and higher. And your time too, which is of course the costliest part of your life is time. Your time is limited. Money is unlimited. Whether you'll get a lot or not is another story, but money is unlimited. Your time is not. So costs can be high. So quality, made in USA. Companies tend to have higher quality. It's just the way it is. And it tends to have higher quality on a more consistent basis. And that's just the way it is. They're local, and the more local you get, and the more and the less you have to worry about quality. But even anywhere USA made, really, even Canada actually, you're less likely to have low quality issues, and that's very big. Turnaround time. If you tell us you're in a hurry, you need it in 24 hours, 48 hours. It's not going to come from China. It's not enough time, and that's going to cost you a ton. In which case, you don't want to order from China because you're trying to save money, which is the main reason why people don't order from overseas. Faster turnaround time, can't beat that. A nice thing, and we find that a lot of our hospitality clients really care about that. Actually, not just hospitality, we have other clients too that care about what we're going to tell you about now. Local economy. Supporting your local economy is very important. It's important to just the message you send, and in general, even to your own economy, because it reflects back to you. So if you have a business right here and you're supporting another business, money goes around faster locally, we believe, than it does on a nationwide basis. and you want to support the local economy as much as possible. And again, ultimately, I think it's a nice message. Ethical sourcing, United States companies have to follow the rules. You think overseas they also have to follow the rules, but if something goes wrong, what are you gonna do? Go after a company that's overseas? You can't. It's just not gonna happen. You're gonna waste your time, money, and everything, unless you're a gigantic company here in the United States. And even then, you may not want to waste your time. When you order from a local company, USA made, you have you have contacts. You have people you can go after. Companies that in the United States are much less likely to, sell you something that try to cheat you in some way or another, just because the impact on them is definitely much greater than if you order something from overseas. Overseas, I guess they could change their name. You could try to do it here, but it's much harder to get away with it in the United States. And fortunately, that can happen. And again, we trust companies, USA companies, much more, especially the more established one, than we do companies overseas, no matter how established they are. We just trust them here much more. Environmental impact. The United States has rules, regulations as far as the environment. Companies here need to follow them. They're going to get impacted with fees and other punishments of some kind if they don't follow that. If they get caught and so on. So even if from that standpoint they're more likely. And I think there's also a greater awareness here and a higher consciousness. Just because we live in the United States, we hear about it all the time. There's a higher consciousness about taking care of the environment, not being polluting, and so on. USA made is big right now. So if you tell your customers here, we supported not only a local economy, but we supported not only USA made, but we also supported a local economy, it's going to have an impact. People are going to like it. People are going to get a good feeling about the costume merch you're giving them. It's going to be important to them. You want as much of positive brand perception as possible. And USA Made is one of the ones that really has an impact, particularly nowadays. As far as communication, we're right here. The supplier we use is right here. Communication is way much easier. I don't know if you've ever been called by, salespeople from overseas. There is a social gap of some kind. The way that they, it's funny because I'm from France, and I see it. Even from Europe, if somebody calls you from certain countries in Europe, you're going to notice that. Europe and the United States, is as far as how we behave socially, is much closer than United States and China or India or some other country. There's just a gap there in the way that people speak and the sensitivities and so on, and their ability to the ranking of the way the business is ran, and the ability of the person you speak to actually be able to solve your problem. Which doesn't mean that if we get a call from overseas from somebody who has something to offer, and we do deal with a couple of people from overseas who has something to offer, we would not consider it. Of course we would. It's funny. I tell my kids all the time. Sometimes I get calls after calls after calls about from overseas, from people who want to sell us things and so on. We've heard people say that they had enough, they this and that, whatever. They come up with a bunch of reasons. I always tell my kids, at the end of the day, you have to remember this is one world we all live in, and you want to make sure that when somebody speaks to you over the phone, whether they're overseas or over here, at the end of the day, they're going to go home to a family. And if you're rude to them, if you're mean to them, if you don't respect them as people, unfortunately, what we don't realize sometimes is it may have an impact on the next person they deal with. They're going home to their families. Who knows if maybe by the end of the day, because someone or too many people were rude to them, at the end of the day, they have no patience anymore for their kids, for their wife, for their friends, for their whoever. It takes so little to just say, you know, thank you, I'm really not interested. You know, we're taken care of, whatever, and always try to always end with, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for calling. We're just not interested. And 99.9% of the time they're gonna say, oh, okay, thank you. Some of them will insist and push and so on. Still stay polite, and eventually you gotta go. But you know, we're all on the same planet, people to people. Remember that. Kindness is worth it. Always, always, always worth it. You can really impact another person. Okay, so I went off on a tangent here, but I thought it was important because we're talking about dealing with people all over the world and so on. As far as comparing costs, you know, the last thing that we wrote about in the article, like we said, you know, cost is really the final number, not price. And I think you understand the difference at this point, or we hope you do. As far as comparing cost, again, it's going to have to do with your time, how much time you're spending, whether or not the item is going to come out the way you want. You'll have to repeat it if it doesn't, whether or not you have recourse if in case something goes wrong, and so on and so on. And I think, you know, and there are many other factors, you know, that can affect cost in the end. So be happy to help you, and I hope that this was very helpful. This is probably the longest video we've made, but I think it was important, and it was important to add a few little side comments, particularly about, you know, kindness, and I hope this was helpful. You know, please give us a call. Be happy to help you with your next order of custom branded merch. You know, we offer quite a bit. You can see a little bit in the background here. We can print on just about anything. There are very few things that we don't custom brand for you, and of course we're always here to help you, advise you, and give you some and help you out with your next project, whatever that is, your next event, you know, trade show and so on. Number here is 386-400-2666. This is Philippe for the Custom Merch. You can also go down at the bottom of the video. There should be a link of some kind that takes you to our website. So you can always fill out the web form if you don't want to call us. Okay? Wishing you success and a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.